The stars looked different from inside the alien ship. Commander Jake Morrison pressed his face against the small window of the human shuttle and watched the massive fleet around them. Each alien warship was bigger than anything humans had ever built. Some were as long as 10 city blocks. Others were round like planets covered in weapons that glowed with strange light. Jake's hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. Next to him, Lieutenant Lisa Parker checked her uniform one more time. They were the only two humans among thousands of aliens who wanted to see Earth destroyed. "Ready for this?" Lisa asked quietly. Jake nodded. "As ready as we can be." Their small shuttle moved through the alien fleet like a tiny fish swimming among whales. The human ship looked like a toy compared to the war machines around it. Its white paint was clean and new, with UES Friendship written on the side in blue letters. The name was supposed to show that humans came in peace. Jake wondered if that had been a mistake. The shuttle docked with the biggest ship in the fleet. The airlock opened with a hiss and Jake stepped into a world that smelled like metal and electricity. The walls were too tall for humans, and the lights were too bright. Everything was built for creatures much larger than people. 2 alien guards waited for them. They looked like giant lizards walking on 2 legs with scales that changed color in the light. Their eyes were yellow and cold. They carried weapons that hummed with power. "Follow," one of them said in broken English. "Council waits." Jake and Lisa walked through corridors that seemed to go on forever. Other aliens stopped to stare at them. Some looked like insects the size of horses. Others were made of living crystal that sang when they moved. A few floated in the air like ghosts made of gas and starlight. None of them looked friendly. The Xiao Council chamber was huge. The ceiling was so high that Jake could not see the top. Hundreds of aliens sat in rows around a circular floor. At the center was a platform where the most important aliens waited. Admiral Krixthar stood at the front. He was the biggest Zeltharian that Jake had ever seen, with scales like black armor and eyes like burning coals. His voice was deep and rough when he spoke. "So," the Admiral said, looking down at the 2 humans like they were bugs. "These are the creatures from Earth." Laughter filled the chamber. It was not the kind of laughter that came from joy. It was cruel and mean, like the sound bullies make when they see someone weak. "Look how small they are," said another alien. This one looked like a giant spider with too many eyes. "How do they even fly between stars with such tiny bodies?" "Maybe they use slingshots," said a third alien, and the laughter got louder. Jake felt his face get hot, but he kept his expression calm. Lisa stood straight beside him, her hands behind her back. They had practiced this moment many times. Admiral Krixthar raised one huge hand and the chamber became quiet. "Humans of Earth," he said, "you asked to join the Galactic Council. You wanted to be equals among the stars, but look around you. Do you see any equals here?" Jake looked up at the hundreds of alien faces staring down at him. "I see many different species working together." "Working together?" The Admiral laughed. "No, human. You see the strong leading the weak. You see order. You see civilization." On the big screens around the chamber, images appeared. They showed human cities from space. Earth looked blue and peaceful, covered in white clouds. Then the images changed to show human spaceships. They were small and simple, with chemical rockets and basic metal hulls. "This is what you call a fleet?" asked Hive Queen Zakth. She looked like a giant ant with wings that buzzed when she talked. "We have seen children's toys that are more threatening." More laughter echoed through the chamber. Jake watched the screen show more images of human technology. Everything looked old and weak compared to the alien ships around them. "Your fastest ship," said Admiral Krixthar, "takes months to travel between planets in your own system. Our slowest cargo ship could reach your moon in minutes. Your weapons shoot pieces of metal," added Prime Veltar, whose crystal body rang like bells when he moved. "We have not used such primitive tools for thousands of years." "Your computers are barely smart enough to count," said Nebula Lord Thisomar, floating in a cloud of glowing gas. "Our children have better toys." The insults went on and on. Each alien species took turns explaining why humans were too primitive, too weak, too stupid to join their council. Jake and Lisa stood in the center of it all, taking every insult without fighting back. Finally, Admiral Krixthar stepped forward. His shadow fell over the two humans like a dark cloud. "Earth will not join the Galactic Council," he announced. "But the Council is not without mercy. We offer you a choice." The chamber became silent. Every alien leaned forward to hear what came next. "Submit to Zeltharian protection," the Admiral said. "Accept our guidance. Let us manage your primitive world. Follow our rules and you will be safe." "And if we refuse?" Jake asked. The Admiral's smile showed teeth like daggers. "Then we will make the choice for you. We will bring peace to your system whether you want it or not. We have done this before with other primitive species. They are much happier now." On the screens, images appeared of other worlds, cities that looked burned and empty, ships that were broken and floating in space, people who looked sad and afraid. These species also thought they were ready for independence, Admiral Krixthar explained. They learned they were wrong. We helped them learn. Jake felt anger rising in his chest, but he pushed it down. This was not the time. "Not yet. How long do we have to decide?" he asked. 3 of your days," the Admiral said. 72 hours. That should be enough time for even humans to understand their situation. More cruel laughter filled the chamber. Some aliens made comments about how slow human brains worked. Others joked about whether humans could even count to 72. "We will consider your offer," Jake said politely. "Good," Admiral Krixthar replied. "Return to your little ship. Think carefully about your choice. Remember that we are not patient creatures. If you take too long to decide, we will decide for you." Jake and Lisa bowed slightly and turned to leave. As they walked back through the long corridors, aliens continued to stare and whisper. Some made sounds that might have been laughter. Others just watched with eyes that looked hungry. Back in their shuttle, Lisa finally spoke. "Well, that went exactly as expected." Jake sat in the pilot's seat and started the engines. "They think we're completely helpless." "Good," Lisa said. "That's exactly what we want them to think." As their small ship moved away from the alien fleet, Jake looked back at the massive warships one more time. Soon, very soon, those aliens would learn something important about humans. They would learn that appearances could be very, very deceiving. The elevator went down for what felt like forever. Admiral Steve Carter watched the numbers change as they dropped deeper underground. Level 50, level 60, level 75. Finally, the doors opened at level 100, far beneath the Pentagon. The hallway ahead was different from anything above ground. The walls were made of metal that seemed to glow with its own light. Guards in black uniforms stood at attention, but their weapons were not like anything the regular military used. These guns hummed with energy and had no bullets. "Admiral on deck," someone called out, and everyone in the hallway stopped what they were doing. Steve walked quickly toward the conference room. Behind him, other important people followed. General Pete Johnson from the Air Force, Dr. Amy Rodriguez from the Science Department, Colonel Maria Santos from Intelligence. They all had serious faces and walked with purpose. The conference room was filled with screens showing stars and planets. At the center of the table was a hologram of Earth, spinning slowly in blue and white light. Around it were tiny dots representing every human ship in space, at least every ship the aliens knew about. "Report," Steve said as he sat down. "Colonel." Santos stood up first. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and graying hair. Her voice was calm and professional. "The aliens took the bait completely," she said. "They believe our fake intelligence reports. According to their files, humanity has exactly 47 spaceships. All of them are primitive chemical fuel vessels with basic weapons." She touched a button and the hologram changed. Now it showed the human ships the aliens had seen. They looked old and simple, with round fuel tanks and simple metal hulls. "What they don't know," Maria continued, "is that every ship they've cataloged is actually a decoy, remote-controlled drones built to look exactly like real ships from the outside. Dr. Amy Rodriguez stood up next. She was younger than the others, with curly red hair and excited eyes. When she talked about science, she spoke faster. The Stealth Fleet Project has been active for 23 years, Amy said. We've built 17 ships using technology recovered from the Mars ruins and the Europa discovery. The hologram changed again. Now it showed sleek, angular ships that looked nothing like the ones the aliens had seen. These vessels were dark and smooth, covered in armor that seemed to bend light around it. Each ship uses quantum phase technology, Amy explained. They exist slightly outside normal space-time, making them invisible to all known detection methods. The alien sensors simply cannot see them. General Johnson leaned forward. He was an older man with white hair and scars on his hands from his time as a pilot. How many people know about the real fleet? He asked. Less than 200, Steve answered. Everyone in this room, the ship crews and a few others. Even most of our own military thinks we only have the decoy ships. Maria Santos touched another button. The screens around the room showed news reports from alien worlds. The aliens were celebrating their victory over humanity before the fight had even started. Listen to this, Maria said, and alien voices filled the room. The translation came through speakers in the ceiling. Today, the primitive humans will learn their place in the galaxy. Admiral Krixthar has graciously offered them protection, but these foolish creatures seem ready to refuse. Another voice spoke. How can they be so stupid? Their ships are held together with metal bolts. Our children have better toys. The Zeltharians are being very patient with these humans. Most species would have already been conquered by now. Steve felt anger rise in his chest, but he kept his voice steady. What about public opinion on Earth? Mixed, Maria replied. Half the population wants to fight back. The other half thinks we should accept alien protection. The media is calling for calm, but people are scared. Good, Steve said. Fear will make our victory more convincing. Dr. Rodriguez stood up again and walked to the biggest screen. With a wave of her hand, the image changed to show a single massive ship floating in empty space. The room became very quiet. The ship was enormous. It was 3 times longer than the biggest alien vessel they had seen. Its hull was black as space, itself, covered in armor plates that shifted and moved like living skin. Weapon systems covered every surface, but they were hidden until needed. At the front, the ship's name was written in letters that glowed with soft blue light. UES Retribution. She's beautiful, General Johnson whispered. She's more than that, Amy said proudly. The Retribution incorporates technology from 12 different alien civilizations. Every species the Zeltharians conquered taught us something new. Every piece of their technology we found, we improved. Amy touched the screen, and parts of the ship became transparent, showing the inside. Antimatter engines that can push the ship faster than anything in the galaxy. Shields that can stop planet-killing weapons. Guns that can cut through any known armor. And best of all, an artificial intelligence that learns from every battle. Where is she now? Steve asked. Hidden in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Amy replied. Captain Alex Turner and his crew of 300 are waiting for orders. Steve nodded and stood up. Get me Captain Turner on secure channel. The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at the bridge of the Retribution. Captain Alex Turner sat in the command chair, a man in his 40s with calm eyes and steady hands. Behind him, his crew worked quietly at stations that looked more advanced than anything on Earth. Admiral Carter, Alex said. We saw the alien broadcast. They're very confident. Too confident, Steve replied. Are you ready, Captain? The Retribution is fully operational. All systems are green. The crew is excited to finally show what we can do. Remember, Captain, stay hidden until the moment is right. Let them think they're winning right up until the end. Understood, sir. We'll give them a surprise they'll never forget. The connection ended, and the room was quiet again. Steve looked around at the faces of his team. These people had worked in secret for decades, building humanity's true defense while the rest of the world thought they were helpless. What about the other ships? General Johnson asked. Amy smiled. The Vengeance is hidden near Saturn. The Defiance is watching Jupiter. 12 more ships are spread throughout the system, all invisible, all waiting. Colonel Santos brought up more alien broadcasts. The enemy was very happy with themselves. They talked about how easy the humans would be to defeat. They made jokes about human intelligence and human technology. They're bringing over 200 ships, Maria reported. The biggest fleet ever assembled against a single species. They want to make an example of us. Perfect, Steve said. The bigger the fleet, the more impressive our victory will be. One of the screens showed the alien armada moving toward Earth. Ship after ship, all of them massive and covered in weapons. Any normal civilization would have surrendered immediately, but humans were not normal. 72 hours, Steve said quietly. In 3 days, everything changes. The galaxy will learn that humanity is not what it appears to be. Dr. Rodriguez was still staring at the image of the retribution. They have no idea what's coming. Good, Steve replied. Let's keep it that way. Far above them, regular humans went about their daily lives. They worked and worried and wondered what would happen when the aliens came. Most of them had no idea that deep underground, their protectors were preparing to reveal humanity's greatest secret. In 72 hours, the hunters would become the hunted. 3 days had passed like a bad dream. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Friendship, looking out at the alien fleet that surrounded them. The enemy had brought even more ships than before. The space around Jupiter was filled with warships from dozens of different alien races. Each ship was bigger and more dangerous than anything humans were supposed to have. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy. Their hulls were covered in armor that could stop atomic bombs. There were so many ships that they blocked out the stars. They really want to make sure we understand the message, Lieutenant Lisa Parker said quietly. Jake nodded. His hands were steady on the controls, but inside he felt excited. After years of planning and waiting, the moment had finally come. All human ships report in, Jake said into his radio. One by one, the voices of human captains came through the speakers. Captain Bill Murphy from the cargo ship Henderson, Captain Nancy White from the science vessel Discovery, Captain Tom Garcia from the transport ship Liberty, all of them flying old, simple ships that looked completely helpless, all of them acting their parts perfectly. Human vessels, came Admiral Crickstar's voice over the open channel. His words were full of cruel amusement. Have you made your decision? Jake took a deep breath. This was it? The moment that would change everything. We have made our decision, Admiral, Jake replied, his voice calm and steady. We thank you for your generous offer, but Earth must decline. Silence filled the radio channels for several seconds. Then Admiral Crickstar began to laugh. It was a terrible sound like metal scraping against stone. Decline, the alien admiral repeated. Look around you, tiny human. Count our ships. Look at your pathetic little fleet. You have 12 vessels. We have 237. Your ships are held together with bolts and hope. Ours can destroy planets. More alien voices joined in the laughter. Jake could hear dozens of different species all enjoying the same joke. The stupid humans who thought they could fight back. This will be educational, said Hive Queen Zaketh. Other primitive species will watch this and learn wisdom. We should broadcast this across the galaxy, added Prime Veltar. Let everyone see what happens to species who refuse Zeltharian generosity. Admiral Crickstar's voice became serious and threatening. Final warning, humans. Surrender now, and some of you will live to serve us. Continue this foolishness, and we will turn your entire system into space dust. Jake looked at Lisa, who gave him a small nod. She was ready. They were all ready. Admiral Crickstar, Jake said, his voice carrying across all the radio channels. Let me tell you something about humans. We don't like bullies. The alien fleet began to move into attack formation. Hundreds of massive ships positioned themselves to destroy the tiny human vessels. Their weapons started to charge, filling space with dangerous energy. Your resistance ends now, Admiral Crickstar announced. Prepare to witness the power of civilized species against primitive. His words stopped suddenly. Every alien ship in the fleet began receiving the same sensor reading. Something impossible was happening. Space itself seemed to ripple and bend near the human ships. Reality twisted like water, and then something massive began to appear. First came the outline, a shadow against the stars that was bigger than anything the aliens had ever seen. Then came the hull, black as empty space and covered in armor that seemed alive. Then came the weapons, more guns than on an entire alien battle group. The UES Retribution materialized between the alien fleet and Earth like a mountain made of metal and death. Impossible, Admiral Crixthar whispered, his voice carrying over the radio. The human ship was 3 times longer than the biggest Zeltharian dreadnought. It hung in space like a sleeping giant, its hull covered in weapon systems that the aliens could not identify. Strange lights ran along its sides and the armor seemed to shift and move. On every alien ship, sensors were going crazy. The energy readings coming from the human vessel were beyond anything they had ever recorded. The ship's power output was higher than some small stars. Captain Alex Turner's voice came over all radio channels. It was calm and professional, but there was something deadly underneath the politeness. Attention alien vessels. This is Captain Alex Turner of the United Earthship Retribution. You are trespassing in human space and have threatened a sovereign species. You have 30 seconds to power down your weapons and withdraw. Chaos erupted across the alien fleet. Ship captains were shouting at each other in dozens of different languages. Some were demanding to know how their sensors had missed such a massive vessel. Others were asking their science officers to explain the impossible energy readings. Admiral Crixthar's voice cut through the confusion. How? How did you hide such a ship? Our sensors are perfect. Nothing can escape our detection. Captain, Turner's reply was cold as ice. Your sensors are designed to detect normal matter existing in normal space-time. The Retribution exists in quantum phase, slightly outside your reality. To your instruments, we simply weren't there. On the bridge of the Retribution, Captain Turner sat in his command chair surrounded by technology that looked like magic. His crew worked at stations covered in displays showing information that alien scientists couldn't even understand. Captain, said his first officer, Commander Ruth Baker, all alien ships are powering weapons. They're preparing to attack. Alex nodded. As expected, they can't back down now without losing face. Send the signal. Throughout the solar system, space began to ripple in dozens of places. One by one, more human ships began to appear. The UES Vengeance materialized near Saturn, its sleek hull bristling with weapons. The UES Defiance appeared near Mars, larger than most alien space stations. Ship after ship revealed itself, each one more advanced than anything the aliens had ever seen. Within minutes, 15 human vessels hung in space around the alien fleet. Each ship was bigger and more powerful than the enemy had thought possible. Their combined firepower could have destroyed entire planets. The alien captains were no longer laughing. Many of their ships were trying to retreat, but they were surrounded. The humans had appeared everywhere at once, trapping the invaders in a cage of advanced technology. This is impossible, Hive Queen Zaketh said, her voice shaking. You are primitives. You use chemical rockets and metal bullets. Dr. Amy Rodriguez's voice came from the Retribution. What you saw were decoys, remote-controlled drones built to look like our real ships. While you were watching toys, we were building the most advanced fleet in the galaxy. Admiral Crixthar was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice had lost all its arrogance. How long? He asked quietly. 23 years, Captain Turner replied. Every species you conquered taught us something new. Every piece of technology you threw away, we improved. Every world you destroyed showed us what we were fighting for. The alien admiral's voice became desperate. You cannot do this. We are the Galactic Council. We are civilization itself. No, Commander Morrison said from his small ship. You are bullies who got used to picking on people smaller than you. Today, you learn what happens when you pick on someone who can fight back. Space around Jupiter had become very quiet. 2. Fleets faced each other, but everyone knew the battle was already decided. The hunters had become the hunted, and the primitive humans were not primitive at all. Admiral Krixthar stared at the human ships surrounding his fleet. His yellow eyes were wide with fear and confusion. 3 days ago, he had been the most powerful military commander in the galaxy. Now he was trapped like an animal in a cage made of human steel and alien technology. "You cannot be serious about fighting us," he said, but his voice was no longer strong and commanding. "We have 200 ships. We have conquered 1,000 worlds." Captain Alex Turner's reply came from the massive Retribution. "Admiral, you conquered worlds that couldn't fight back. Today is different." The alien admiral tried to sound brave again. "We are still the stronger force. Even with your hidden ships, you are outnumbered 15 to 1. "Numbers don't always win battles," Captain Turner said calmly. "Sometimes skill and technology matter more." Admiral Krixthar had heard enough talk. His pride was hurt, and his anger was stronger than his fear. No primitive species would embarrass him in front of the entire galaxy. "All ships, open fire," he shouted into his radio. "Destroy these human pretenders." The alien fleet attacked, all at once. Hundreds of energy weapons fired at the human ships. The space around Jupiter lit up like a star as alien technology unleashed its deadly power. Laser beams, plasma bolts, and fusion missiles filled the darkness. Any normal fleet would have been destroyed in seconds. The firepower hitting the human ships was enough to crack planets and boil oceans. But the human ships were not normal. The energy weapons hit the Retribution first. The beams struck the ship's hull and simply disappeared, absorbed by armor that bent the laws of physics. The plasma bolts scattered harmlessly against shields that existed in multiple dimensions. The missiles exploded against barriers that shouldn't have been possible. "Direct hit on the Retribution," reported one alien captain. "No damage detected." "Impossible," Admiral Krixthar growled. "Hit them again." The aliens fired everything they had. Ship after ship poured weapons fire at the human vessels. The attack went on for 5 full minutes, using enough energy to destroy entire solar systems. When the firing stopped, every human ship was exactly as it had been before. Not a single mark on their hulls. Not even a scratch on their armor. "Our turn," Captain Turner said quietly. The Retribution's weapons came online. They were different from anything the aliens had ever seen. Instead of energy beams or explosive missiles, the human ship fired streams of pure force that tore reality apart. The weapons reached across space faster than light and hit their targets before the aliens even knew they had been fired. The first Zeltharian cruiser simply came apart. Its hull separated into pieces as if invisible hands had taken it apart bolt by bolt. The crew had time to scream once before their ship became a cloud of metal floating in space. "What kind of weapons are those?" Hive Queen Zakth demanded. "Doctor," Amy Rodriguez answered from the Retribution's bridge. "Quantum cascade disruptors. They attack the bonds between atoms. Your armor might as well be made of paper." The human fleet opened fire together. 15 advanced ships against over 200 alien vessels, but the battle was completely one-sided. Human weapons tore through alien hulls like they were made of cardboard. Shields that could stop planet-killer weapons failed instantly against human technology. But the most frightening thing was how smart the human ships were. Each time an alien ship tried a new tactic, the human vessels learned and adapted within seconds. When the aliens tried to jam their sensors, the humans switched to different detection methods. When they tried to hide behind asteroids, the human weapons curved around the rocks to find them. "They're learning from everything we do," reported one alien captain. "It's like fighting an enemy that knows our moves before we make them." Captain Turner's voice was still calm and professional. "Our artificial intelligence systems study your tactics in real time. Every attack you make teaches us how to defeat you better." The battle became a massacre. Alien ships exploded or simply fell apart as human weapons found every weakness in their design. Some aliens tried to retreat, but the human ships were faster. Others tried to surrender, but Admiral Krixthar ordered them to keep fighting. "This is madness," Prime Veltar said, his crystal body singing with fear. "We must withdraw before they destroy us all." "No," Admiral Krixthar shouted. We are the masters of the galaxy. We do not run from primitives. But even he could see that the battle was lost. Half his fleet was already destroyed or disabled. The human ships had not even been damaged. His crews were panicking, and some of his captains were openly talking about surrender. "Admiral," said Nebula Lord Thismar, his gas form flickering with terror. "We must accept reality. These humans are not what we thought they were." Captain Turner's voice cut through the alien communications. "Admiral Krikstar, you have lost. Order your remaining ships to power down weapons and prepare to withdraw from human space." The alien admiral's pride would not let him give up. "Never. The Ziltharian Empire does not surrender to anyone." "Then you choose destruction," Captain Turner replied sadly. The Retribution moved forward, its massive bulk heading directly for Admiral Krikstar's flagship. The alien ship fired everything it had, but the weapons had no effect on the human vessel. The Retribution's guns charged up, preparing to end the battle with one final shot. "Wait!" Admiral Krikstar suddenly screamed. "We surrender! All ships, power down weapons! We surrender!" The space around Jupiter became quiet. Alien ships powered down their weapons and stopped moving. Many were badly damaged with hull breaches and failed systems. Others were completely destroyed, nothing left but floating debris. The human fleet moved into formation around the defeated aliens. 15 ships controlling over 200 like sheepdogs herding frightened sheep. Admiral Steve Carter's voice came from Earth, broadcast on all frequencies so every alien in the galaxy could hear. "To the Galactic Council and all spacefaring species," he began, his words calm but full of authority. "This is Admiral Steve Carter of the United Earth Defense Force. Today, you learned that humanity is not what you believed us to be." On screens, throughout alien space, the battle was being replayed. Millions of beings watched as the primitive humans defeated the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. "Earth formally rejects membership in the Galactic Council," Admiral Carter continued. "We have no interest in joining an organization that preys on developing civilizations. We will defend ourselves and any species that asks for our protection." Broadcast showed images of human ships patrolling space around Earth. Advanced vessels that made alien technology look old and simple. "This is your only warning," the Admiral said. "Human space and our allies are under our protection. Any attempt to harm peaceful species will be met with the full force of the Earth Defense Fleet." The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy in shocked silence. On worlds across space, conquered species who had given up hope suddenly felt something they had not experienced in centuries. They felt free. For the first time, someone had stood up to the bullies and won. In the months that followed, dozens of species would ask Earth for protection. The humans would say yes to all of them, building a new alliance based on cooperation instead of fear. The Galactic Council would never recover from their defeat at Jupiter. Their reputation was broken, and their power was gone. The age of alien bullies was over. The age of human guardians had begun.